Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? I can't hear you, Rudis.
Hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So, how
Okay,
are you? Are you well?
perfect. Well, I'm trying. I'm trying. We got COVID at home. The whole family, all of us. This is our second week.
Oh,
So, yes, we are to be well. We are trying to be well.
uh, I'm glad to hear that. I
Yes,
hope
yes.
I
I'm
hope you
still,
get better soon.
yeah, I still have some symptoms. I'm still
Mhm.
have, body ache and feeling so weak with
Mhm.
coughing and all these not
Yeah,
so nice symptoms.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I know the symptoms and I know how hard it can be.
yeah.
So, yeah.
It looks like flu or cold, but
Mhm.
much more severe.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, much more.
Um. So I guess what you can do is eat fruits,
Yeah,
drink water, a lot of it.
yeah.
Yeah, and take care of yourself.
Yes, we are trying, but the problem that the four of us at the same time, so it made it
Yeah,
so difficult. Yeah, so
I know, I know.
we are trying to support each other. So I'm sorry, of course, I had to cancel last week. I was not able to talk at all. But, I'm okay now. Thank God. And let me share my screen and
Okay.
um, where is it? Okay. This is the instructional plan. It has all the table. The yellow, the weeks in yellow are the weeks that we already finished. So your grades right now supposed to have in-class discussion. You will have your in-class discussion mark only if you attended the class. So I have noticed that some people log in with a name that is different than the name I have in the system. So if your name on the system is different than the name you log in with, please contact me because it might affect your grade. Because, okay, if I see a name that I didn't recognize, I will not give you the grade for this in class discussion. For the quiz, not all of you did the quiz. And what I will do, I will have extra quiz. Uh, I will have extra quiz posted later for those who wants to either get higher grades or compensate for a quiz they didn't do. And I will take the highest grades. So in total, you should have 5 quizzes. There will be 6 quizzes, but I will count only the highest 5. Also in week 3, I introduced the individual assignment. So let me share the individual assignment because I want to show you something. Okay, no, it's not here. Yes, this one. Okay, can you see this? It's your model system, and we have here an assignment, and it's called a project proposal, and you're supposed to choose a project from this website and construct a project proposal. So you will see that right now. we did not, sorry, we haven't covered everything in the proposal, but step by step we are building it. So right now, I believe you can do until, okay, project requirement, you can do this. You can do also human resources. Cost, not yet. Risks, not yet. But here, time scale. Today, we will cover everything related to time planning. So you can easily cover number 9, which related to time scale. So you will be able to continue working on your assignment in this regard. I suppose that you have started already working on the rest because we already covered this. We talked about SWOT analysis, we talked about requirements, we talked about social responsibility, we talked about all these elements that you can complete in your assignment. And after today's lesson, you can complete number 9. Okay, so back to today's lesson. So today we will focus on everything time planning, and we will talk about some important concept in project management called critical chain approach. In some other literature, you will find it's called critical path approach. They are the same, whether it is critical chain or critical approach. So we will learn today how to use the product, task, and organizational breakdown basics to recognize the limitations. There are certain limitations that add some complexity to our projects. Some are related um, to the product, some are related to the task, and some related to organizational factors. And we will learn how to arrange tasks in simple projects into a sequence and calculate the project duration and the critical path. We will know how to display the results so we can communicate and monitor the progress of the project. Recognize the limitations of the traditional approaches to planning projects, because project management is a well-established field and it started very, very early. So we had some traditional approaches which are not suitable for today's ever-changing environment. So we need to be adaptable and add some modifications. We will talk more about constraints in the project, and we will describe the principles of the critical chain approach or critical path. So when when we start doing our time planning, we need to deconstruct our project. We need to divide it into smaller pieces so we can deal with each piece. And it will be easier for us to estimate time, cost, and other resources. So this is the first stage. We need to deconstruct a project. And we do this first in the first phase, that we do a process overview and product overview. This is a high-level analysis of the product or the deliverable that we need to reach at the end of the project, and the process that we will use to reach that deliverable. In phase 2, we go much more deeper. So we do 3 types of breakdown structure. Oh, sorry, 4 types. The first one is product breakdown structure. And uh, let me search online so we can see together. We can see together. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
So product breakdown structure. This is something that it was so easy to find in manufacturing because we have a product and we have elements of that product. And also it's easy to see it in IT, for example, because they are dealing with the IT aspect. So, for example, we have, for example, we have a product breakdown structure for a computer. So the computer have these major elements. It has the main unit, monitor, mouse, and keyboard. And we can take this further. So the main unit, it has 4 main components: housing, hard disk, video card, motherboard. Excuse me, check your sound, your mic, and switch it off if you are not talking to me. And here we have the motherboard, and it had these components. So the idea here is to break down the product into smaller units so we can understand all of these units. So suppose that you are working on a presentation, for example, a PowerPoint presentation. Also, you will have a breakdown to your presentation. So you might have certain slides related to introduction, certain slides related to the problem that you are presenting, certain slides related to your research and findings, and certain slides related to your conclusion, and then a slide or two related to your recommendations. So you can have this product breakdown structure you can apply it to any product or any service. And this will give us more understanding of what do we have. Then we have work breakdown structure. Okay, we need to divide work into smaller packages. So I can go to Hanan and tell her, okay, in this project, this is your work package. This is what you will do. This is what you are responsible for. And we have functional breakdown structure. What are the main functions in the organization that might be related to this project, and who will do what, which department or which function will do what? Sometimes we do physical breakdown structure. So if we have, for example, certain locations that we will do our work at, and we use all these breakdown structures to create work packages. And these work packages have 2 major elements: estimate duration, how long will it take, and also the sequence dependence. Some tasks might be dependent on other tasks. So I cannot finish task 20 unless we finish task 19. So we need to understand this dependency. And using these 2, we can have detailed time plan, project duration, and criticality. How critical this work package is. Some work packages or some tasks will be more critical than other. So there is a, a famous saying, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one slice at a time. So think of the work breakdown structure is slicing the project to manageable pieces so we can understand it, analyze it, work on it, finish it, and measure our success step by step. So this is work breakdown structure based on activity. We are installing new computer system. How we will do this? Okay, what are the logical steps? We will define needs. We will select suppliers. We will implement the new system. If you take any one of these activities, you can break it down much more. For example, in selecting suppliers, we might have identifying suppliers, creating short list, and then trial, sending our specifications to them and receiving their proposals or quotations and selecting. And we can do more here in identifying suppliers. We can consult contract trade associations. We will call suppliers for details. Then we will confirm suitability. See, this is what we do for each and every step along the way. Here, it is based on function, okay? The functions in the organizations, it could be represented by departments who will do what. So in this project, we have the finance involved, the IT, and the operations. All these departments are involved in this project. The finance, what they will do, they will develop departmental needs statement. They will prepare budget. They will prepare, they will report financial progress. And again, we do the same for all departments. So we can see who is doing what. And we can see who has to update which department, who has to send certain inputs to other departments. Here is it's physical. So we are dealing with something physical, something that we will do. So again, the project is install new computer system. We have some functions deal with hardware, some functions deal with software. So here, identify needs, check capability requirements, prepare system specifications, install, test. And we have all these three, so we can create what we called earlier work packages. So we will have a huge database of work packages. Each work package tell us what is the activity that we are doing. Okay, we are doing activity 1, 2, 1, 3. What is the function that we are dealing with? We are dealing with function 1, 1, 2. What is the physical work breakdown structure? We are dealing with this task, prepare system specification. Then I can assign, okay, who will do what? John will do this. Who else? He will consult, for example, the IT manager. He will consult finance. He will consult operations. He needs to prepare, for example, a list. A list will go to this person or this function. So we create these work packages so we can do the project step by step. After that, we construct a time plan. And we have different types of estimation methods. We can have a rough estimate, or another type called as buts, or we have detailed estimate, or we have estimate to finish. And we use these these four types of estimation methods for different reasons. We use the rough cut. Sometimes we call it rough cut. Sometimes we call it rough estimate, all or ballpark park, or finger in the air. You know that they say people who live in rural areas or the desert, they can predict if there is a storm or not by licking their finger and put it in the air, and they can feel the air moving, and they can estimate if there will be a storm or not. So this is a very, very high level. And here we have much uncertainty. We don't have something concrete. And this is a very, very early check on feasibility. And the accuracy is very low. Then we move to the next type, as but, as was carried out previously. So this is not the first time we have this type of projects. So we have a previous experience, and we use our experience to estimate for the next project. So we did it previously this way. It cost us $50,000, and it lasted, or the duration was 1 month. So we have as was carried out previously estimate. But here, with the following amendments, so we might have some more information. So if the estimate was $50,000, we know that some components, the prices for some components are higher. So this might lead, instead of 50,000, 55,000. So we have a previous estimate, and we add some data that can amend our estimate. So here we have some appropriate contingency factor. We have some understanding of another layer that can make our estimate more accurate, but still our estimate is moderate in accuracy. Here we have detailed estimate. We have done some initial work to determine the work that we will have, and some problems that we might counter, and we have more accurate estimates, but still moderate, not perfect, not very high. And we use this to create proposals. Along the way, we refine our estimates. So we create estimates to finish. We do this when much of the project is completed and we might need additional funding. And we have some tasks that are not completed yet, and we request additional funding. This time we need to be accurate and we need to do more detailed estimates until we finish the project. We need these additional funds. And here, the funds, these estimates could be applied to time, to cost, to resources. So, any question? Any questions so far? Okay, we can move. So, we create a activity on node diagram. So, we need to understand the sequence of these uh, activities that we created by doing the work breakdown structure using the product, the activity, the functional, and the physical. So here, to make it simple, we give activities letters. We identify activities by letters. So we will start the project and we will start with 3 activities that are independent, that we can start at the same time. So we have activity A, activity B, D, and F. So we can start the 3 activities at the same time. And why we do this? Because none of them is dependent on the other. A has output. This output is an input for activity B and input for activity E. D has an output which will be input to activity E. So activity E cannot be started, I cannot start activity E unless I have the output from A and D. So any delay in any one of these activities will lead to delay in E. Then I have activity C that has output from B and output from E, and so on. So to complete the project, C has to be completed, E has to be completed because some inputs are final and some some outputs of E are final and some outputs are inputs to activity C. And also I need to finish G. So when we create this diagram, it will be easier to see what activities are independent of each other. So we can see that A and D and F are independent of each other. Uh, Here. But E, for example, it has higher dependency because it has 2 inputs from 2 separate activities. This also can help me to calculate the critical path. What's the duration of this whole activity? So some activities are more critical than other activities, and it will affect the overall estimate of the duration of the project. I talked about task dependency. So activity B is dependent on activity A. And here we add the time duration beside each activity. And we have different links between activities. We have finish to start. It means that activity A has to finish and activity B starts. Start to start, it means activity A can start at the same time with activity B. Finish to finish. Here, I don't care when A starts or when B starts, but they have to finish at the same time. Here, it's very determined when to start A. I don't care when B start, but B has to finish when A start. Of course, this is a very complex system because, especially, for example, in construction projects, in manufacturing projects, you will find this evident. I cannot start a certain activity unless this activity finish completely. Or, for example, we need to install something at the same time we install something else. In other organizations, you don't need to go that complex route. Maybe your activities are much more simpler than this. So here we talked about dependencies, and I gave you example in the first graph. Here it is in detail. When we have multiple dependencies, so activity E has one dependency. It is dependent on activity D. Activity F also have one dependency. It's dependent on activity D. And the same for activity G. However, activity H, it has multiple dependencies. It is dependent on finishing these three tasks. And we will talk about this in an example at the end. And here is another representation. We represent the activity with a box that has several information. The earliest start time. What is the earliest time I can start this activity? For example, I can start it from day 1. What is the latest start time? I cannot delay start more than day 5. So from day 1 to day 5, I can start this activity. And here I add activity description and duration. How many days, or how many minutes, or how many months this activity will take. 3 days, 5 days. Total float. What is the buffer I have? And usually it's the latest start time minus the duration. And we add this to all the activities. So the float is the latest start time minus earliest start time. So we have activity A. It has to start in day 1, and I cannot delay its start. It will take 5 days. And the total float is 0. I don't have any buffer for task A. Then task B is dependent on task A. So if task A starts on day 0, finish at day 5, B can start at day 5. This is the earliest start date. And here is the latest start date. I cannot delay task B more than day 7. That's why I have the float here 2 days. I have 2 days buffer until I start task B. And it takes 3 days. That's why task E can start day 8, because this one can start day 5. So this one can start day 8. And how we calculate this? Day 5, 6, 7, and 3 days makes it day 8. And I cannot delay it more than day 10. And I have a buffer to start this task 2 days, and so on. I do this to all tasks. So I can assign employee X with this tasks, and they have to start on this day. And look at these. These zeros are very, very important. This means that these are critical, critical tasks. I don't have any buffer. I don't have any time float. This has to start day 5. It means it has to start day 5. This has to start day 9. It has to start day 9. And this could be because we have certain mandates. For example, if we are trying to comply to COVID-19 restrictions, for example, and the day that these restrictions are applied on the 31st of March, for example. So I have to start this task on the 31st on March, and I don't have any float whatsoever, and so on. So this is how when we use the Microsoft project output and we feed the program with all the information, it gives us this. It gives us, okay, prepare the hit list for sponsor, start day 1, or this is the task 1. It will take 7 days, so it should start on Wednesday 7th. It should end at Thursday 15th. Then task 2, contact sponsor. It will take 36 days, start on the Friday 16th, finish on Friday for the next month or 2 months. Any questions so far? Okay.
No.
Okay. So we can move to scheduling, building the schedule. So to do the scheduling, it's a process to develop a schedule for the project. We have to think of 3 main things: resource capability, and our resource pool, and resource capacity. Resource capability, the set of tasks that the resources available to the project manager and can reasonably undertake. What are the resources that I have? It's in the resource pool. What the resources I have here? What's their capabilities? So, what are the tasks related to these resources? Resource capacity, it depends on the volume of resources available and issues such as resource calendar. And I will show you an example. For example, if I need a machine, excavation machine, for example, okay, it's in the resource pool. Is it available? Yes, it's available. I need it, for example, the last week of April. Is that machine available? Yes, it's available. Its capability. Can this machine do the digging I need? Oh, no, this machine is not powerful enough. it will affect my scheduling. I don't have this resource, although it's available, but its capability is not suitable for the task. No, it's suitable. Yes, I can do the excavation using this machine. It's a small job. Okay. What's the capacity? I need to finish excavation in 1 day, for example. No, the capacity of this machine will take this task 2 days. This task will take this machine 2 days to finish. So this is the capacity. So when I do scheduling, I will do my network representation, the node diagram. I will do my estimates in terms of time. I will check the resource capability, and I will check the resource capacity. And I will use all this information to create the project schedule. I will explain this when we come from a break. I will explain everything about using Gantt chart, and I will give you a case study to do. So, any questions so far? Any questions so far? No? Okay, good. What I will do now is I will send, I don't know if I can send a file. No, I don't think I can send a file here. So I might send it on Moodle. I want to send you the PowerPoint presentation so you can use it for the case study if you want some help. So this is something that I will do when we are in break. So it's 10:42 now. We will take break until 11. At this time, I will send you the email and drink something or or have some time. Okay. So see you. So see you at 11.
Okay.
Welcome back. Hello, everyone. Are you back from your break? Welcome back. I I have I have added the PowerPoint presentation to the model. So did you have a chance to download it?
Yes, I downloaded it.
Okay, perfect. Just in case if you need to refer to it when you are doing your case studies. So let's get back to the class because we have so many things to cover and too little time and too little effort. So one of the most important tools that we use in project management, and I believe you will find that it will make your life easy, is Gantt chart. And again, it's a visual representation of the tasks and the time. So, for example, this is um, the tasks related to creating a website, and this supposed to take a less than a month. So we have here all the tasks. For example, write landing page copy, approve page copy, review landing page design, build the landing page, code review landing page, write promotional email, design promotional email, send a promotional email, analyze campaign results, and so on. So that's why we have to start with dissecting the project and work and developing a work breakdown structure. So I can really understand and know exact steps and tasks that I will do. And then, of course, I have to determine dependency, which tasks are dependent on the other tasks. And also, I need to determine sequence, which task comes after which. I have to determine task duration. How many days will it take? So, as you can see here, these bars, it shows the start date and the end date of each step. And also, you can see here we have light color and dark color. This could be the float time. So, for example, approve, it can start a little bit earlier when we have a draft, for example, for the landing page, and it will take few days. And also we have 1 day buffer or float, and so on. You can see here that some tasks are not dependent on other tasks. This one, for example, write promotional email, it is dependent on these two. That's why I cannot start it until I have a page copy, some text to work on. Here, these two, they are independent of each other. That's why it started at the same day. It means, okay, I can plan agenda for meeting And I can also starting with online calculator. These are not dependent on each other. Okay? But this one, for example, I cannot start it until I have started this one and this one. That's why it's so easier to do it like this first. So I can understand the dependency and what can start early, what can start later. So I create Gantt chart. Here is another one. So what's the definition of Gantt chart? Bar chart provides schedule information where activities are listed on the vertical axis here. Dates are shown on the horizontal axis here, dates and days of the week. And activity duration, it shows activity duration with horizontal bars. Start with the start date and end date. But I will not be able to do this until I have a list of all the activities and I know enough information about the dependency. I know enough information about the duration, so I can start working on this. So there are two types of activity scheduling: forward schedule or backward schedule. Forward schedule started the activities as a given date and followed them forward in time to determine the end date. I have a start date as initial information that I can work with. Backward date scheduling looked at the time by which the project needed to be completed and worked the logic of activities backward. For example, I have a mandatory delivery date of 31st of March. So I can start with the end date and work my way backward. So, for example, if I will do forward, I have to start, I know that I have to start on the 16th, for example. So this is the date I have to start, and I start building the activities and building the schedule step by step. Or I have the end date or the delivery date. So I need to deliver it on the 28th of October. So I have the end date and I start working my way backward. شكرا حبيبي. And also, this leads to lag and lead times. So this diagram shows the trend over time of the average lead time of the items completed in work. A lead time chart may be shown as a scatter diagram or bar chart. When I list all the tasks and when I do these horizontal bars to represent, it means that this activity here will start one day earlier than the end time of the previous activity. It's lead. Lag, it means that it will start one day after the end of this task. So now your task is to choose a project, choose a very easy, simple project. For example, replacing a faucet in your bathroom sink, for example, and create a Gantt chart for this project. So you will find yourself doing all this, starting with the work breakdown structure. You will do this by function, by activity, by steps, and you will start constructing a time plan. You will do some estimate. You will do some activity on node diagram, so it will be easier for you to see, okay, what are the steps after you list it and which is dependent on which. And of course, you have to know when you can start it, when it has to finish, and also the duration. So if this is something that can be done in few hours, you might use minutes. If it will be done over few days, you might use days or months. So adjust the unit, the time unit, based on your project. Okay? And then you can create your Gantt chart. How you create your Gantt chart? Okay, you can create it on Word. You can insert a table. For example, I will add here activities, and I will, if it is for days, for example, I will add day 1, day 2, and so on. I will list here my activities, and you can highlight this. For example, this with colors. So you can show the duration, okay? Or you can use Excel. You can also use Excel, and it will be easy for you. So this could be days, this could be weeks, months, or even minutes. So any questions so far about your task? So the first thing that you need to select a project. That's why I told you to download this. So you need to select a project and then construct the project, deconstruct the project into smaller pieces, functions or activities or tasks, and then create activity on Node. Yeah, and how you create activity on Node also on Word. For example, I can draw a box. Okay. Oh, no. Insert a box. Okay, and I will say activity A and paste it. So I'll have activity B, and then I again insert an arrow from this to this. And you build your node diagram this way. Okay? You can here write even the whole activity. And so, for example, buy the faucet, for example, and so on. Any questions so far? I will leave this on screen Um, so you can refer to it and know exactly what you need to do. Um, so one of you has to work on the word, or you can have like a Google Doc or something that you work all of you on it. Any questions so far? Okay, so let me divide you into groups, breakout room. We have a very small project attendance today, so I think I will put you all in one group. So because you are um, very small group, but if I leave you in this, I share my screen, you will not be able to share your screens. So what do you think? Divide you into groups or one group? Two groups. Even if two people will work together, it's okay. Two groups. Hi, Wellington. No one showed up to your group, Wellington. Hi, hello. Hi, Mansoor.
Hello.
Hi, are you finished? Are you finished with the
Can you hear me,
case?
guys?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, Mansoor, I can hear you. Mansoor, are you finished or you dropped out? I can hear some voices, but I cannot recognize what you are saying exactly. You can write in the chat if we have a connection issue, you can write in the chat. Okay, Mansoor, I cannot hear you. You can use the chat and you can join your team. They are still working on the assignment. I think they are halfway from what I saw. Yeah, Mansoor, put
Hello?
it down. Yes, I can hear you.
I'm sorry, I'm having
Internet
internet issues.
connection issues.
Um,
Um,
Yes, I can hear that. Yeah, I can know that. But if you would like to rejoin your team, I think they are halfway. So, and I see that you are still assigned to the same team. So try to join them again.
Guys, the spell is incorrect. The facet, spell is incorrect. The- Ricky?
Mustafa, I give
So,
them uh, Mustafa, your team needs 15 minutes more. So after 15 minutes, we will regroup in the main room, okay?
از 4 قیمت.
باقی ده 3 دقیقه مونده 2 گل بزنیشه 3 دقیقه 2-0 پیش که بودین یونایتد
در 2 دقیقه ده گل زدم.
2 دقیقه
Are we done? Yes, it's activity wise. Okay. So we are going to do it the function wise now. بدنا نقرف تمس خذ مس. No, it wasn't for you. Sorry. What is required for the function table? What is required for the function table? Hmm? Okay. Okay. And what is required in the physicality? What is, okay, all right. بابا دا کار که دیگه خیلی شش بیشه شخص خیلی خفت تره نمیشه. Okay. Yeah. Nee, confused. Nee, alsjeblieft. Wait, do we need it now? Do we need it now? Okay, okay. Where can I find it? Where can I find it? I'm using my phone. I'm afraid I cannot do that. Uh, yeah, I'm afraid I may not be able to do that. I have a very low internet connection, so I wasn't even listening to the instructor. Okay, 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 okay. All right. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, all right. I'm gonna. Okay, I'm gonna watch the recording again, so I'll be able to understand all the points that the instructor mentioned. So for now, let's do the assignment, the task. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Very appreciate it. Thank you. Mm, okay. No, no. you're just gonna do it. You're just gonna present it. Rodas, please mention the problems that we had.
Okay, today we suffered a lot from your internet connections. Many of you were facing a severe connectivity problem, but it's okay. We continue, and we managed to have one group working on the case study. Shirup, you are representative of your group.
So I'll be waiting for Rodas to come and present the other one.
Yeah, and I can see her online. I think she is disconnected, and Mustafa also was facing issues. So let me continue until she join us. So let me share my screen. I want to show you some tools that we can use. Of course, I showed you how we can use the Microsoft Office to create simple diagrams, and we use this because it's cheaper. It's something work. Will you please, Mansoor? Are you talking to me? Okay, I can't hear you. I can't recognize what you are saying. So let's go back to what I was explaining, and you can see the recording. So this is the easiest way. You can do it with tools that you already have. So we create a node diagram using Microsoft Office, especially those programs included like Word and Excel. You can create the Gantt chart as a simple table, and you just highlight the cells, or you create boxes and use arrows to create the node diagram. But at the same time, we have some other tools. The Microsoft Visio is a good tool to create the node diagram and flow charts. You pay for it, but again, you can create so many things with the Visio. And if you have a plan and it's included, this would be good. You can see here the many types of diagram that you can create using Visio here. And I used to use Visio all the time for our diagrams whatsoever. It was really easy. You can see here we can create a node diagram, we can create some representative diagram, we can add icons, we can add so many things. Also, there are tools for mind mapping. Again, you can use it. You should be a little bit clever in using these tools. I trained myself to use the word to create anything I want to create because it's easier, it's cheaper. You invest more time in the beginning to create such. Um, uh, okay, yeah. You invest more time in the beginning to train yourself to use the tool, but again, it's handy, it's cheap, and you can use it easily. If you don't have access to Visio or other elaborate programs. One more thing, the Microsoft Office project management, for example, it will give you more capabilities because it's really designed for project management. Some other tools like Primavera, like some other online tools will give you some more capabilities. Whatever the tool that you are using, the basic concepts are the same. We create a node diagram so it will be easier for us to see all the activities in these boxes and the relationship between these activities. So we can easily determine what is dependent on what and how long, and we can have this sequence. And then we can create the activity notation. We can create all this activity network diagram. We can create our time schedule and Gantt chart. I don't know if you are ready to present or not yet. Rudis, are you ready to present?
I've done the what's it called? The node diagram.
Yes, please share your screen and present.
Okay. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So we start by buying the tools. But I think, yeah, we start by buying the tools to diagnose, to open up the faucet and diagnose the parts. So the second steps are diagnose the parts and opening up the faucet. They both go together. So they start at the same time and end at the same time. After opening up and diagnosing the parts, we change and install the new parts that we bought. After installing, we check if the fixed faucet works or not. And then the last step is cleaning up. So in diagnosing the parts, we check where, in what parts of the faucet is the problem. Is it because dirt is clogged in the tubes, or is there any malfunctioning parts? So, but both of them go together. So they start and end at the same time. Yeah. So that's the
node diagram.
the node diagram. Yes.
And you built the Gantt chart.
Yes.
Okay. Share your Gantt chart.
Kirop can share that.
Okay.
So, Chirop, do you want to present? Okay. So we've just divided the activities. We listed them on the first column, and then these timelines, we've divided it every 10 minutes. So on the first 10 minutes, we buy the tools, but it could roughly take 20 minutes. But we just assumed that the supplier that we selected is nearby. And then the next the next step was opening up the faucet and beginning the diagnosing the problem. So both of them occur at the same time. So we gave them 10 minutes because we open up and check at the same time. So they occur at the same time. After doing that, we okay, so I think I've forgotten this part because after diagnosing the problem, we check what parts we need, because where in what parts of the faucet is the problem. So we after finding that, we go and purchase the parts. So purchasing the parts can roughly take buying the tools and purchasing the parts are different because tools are the ones that we use for opening. Yeah. So purchasing the parts can take roughly 20 minutes because we get to compare and select suppliers based on the criteria that what kind of facet we used before and what kind of facets are on the market. So we have to choose between suppliers by comparing their costs and different types. So it roughly takes us 20 minutes. After that, we change the parts. Changing the parts occurs after buying the parts. So that takes 10 minutes. After we finish up, we check if it works, then we clean up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's I just wanted you to practice this. Yeah, it might not be perfect. We might need to go much more deeper in analyzing the activities and so on. But I want you to get the feeling of constructing a node diagram so you can think of, okay, these are the activities that I want to do. And of course, in real life, we have some experience in whatever project that we are doing, you know. If it is a plumbing, we have some experts in plumbing giving us detailed activity. That's why we spend more time in deconstructing the and then you build your node diagram. But best practice says start with your node diagram. You can understand the relationship between different steps. So it will be easier when you construct the Gantt chart, because it takes more effort to construct the Gantt chart than the node diagram. So very good. It's simple. Can you see my screen or not? No, I didn't share it.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I do this. So when we take it step by step, it's not that we adding more work on our shoulders, it's doing it the easy way. Okay, so we construct this node diagram. It will be easier for us to see relationships between different steps and logically. So for example, you noticed that, okay, you had to purchase two things, tools, and later you purchase your the parts themselves. Okay, in your node diagram you didn't mention purchasing the parts because you did it mentally when you were in your discussions. But when you do this node diagram, it will be easier for you. Okay, we need to change something. Maybe we need to add a step here, or maybe we need to add a step there. Okay, and then the Gantt chart will show us, okay, the progress of all the steps and the time duration and so on. And in your case, you did forward scheduling. You start with the start time and you move forward. In some cases, as I said, no, we have the deadline and we built our schedule backward. For example, if this plumbing work is part of a big construction, and the delivery date or the end date of the construction at a certain time, But as I said, we need to rethink time planning, because project management is well-established field. It started too early. The amount of change that was there was not that severe like these days. So there are certain limitations of the current approaches to project management. For example, all goals are based on estimates, which contain uncertainties. Estimates of activity times generally include a large safety margin. We add a buffer to all our activities. We add a day or two, for example, or we add few minutes, or we add some safety margin so we can handle the uncalculated risks that we might face. Also, when we construct our network diagram, um, we usually use the latest start time for activities. And this makes the non-critical activities becoming critical. It means that all activities are as important as any other activity, which is not in real life. Some activities are very, very critical. For example, just imagine that, okay, we added concrete, okay, and the concrete solidifies. And if I discover something that's not done before it, or something went wrong after I added the concrete, the hustle of breaking the concrete and doing all this work all over again. So we need to include an element of how critical the task or the activity is. Also, a delay in one step is passed on in full to the next step. For example, if I diagnose the problem with the faucet and I need to go immediately to the store to buy the parts that I want to replace, and for some reason, instead of going immediately, I went next day. This means that all the steps coming after, it delayed with a day, by a day. So any delay in one step will be passed to the other steps. And I delay this step, I carry the delay, and then I delay another step. Now I'm carrying two delays, and so on. Dealing with problems in a timely manner. This is something that project managers struggle with. Sometimes it takes time since the problem initially appears until it reaches the project manager to deal with it. For example, the concrete example that I gave you, we discovered that there is a missing part under the concrete, and it takes 2 days to reach the project manager. So the project manager didn't know the problem before the concrete solidified. We can remove the late concrete. It's much more easier than removing solid concrete. Also, there is something called the student syndrome. Most of the students, they don't study as they go. They wait until the very end before the exam, and they want to cram everything. So if I will give a team doing a specific task 2 days, they will play, not they will play, they will procrastinate day and a half, and they will work only for half a day. So this will affect the time allocated to the task. Instead of, although I allocated 2 days, the team did not started working on that assignment until last minute. Also, in many cases, there are multitasking, and we will talk about this later. So these are some of the issues that happens in the real project management environment that makes the way that we schedule time somehow not efficient because it doesn't take these limitations into consideration. So that's why we need to learn about constraints. Okay. Okay. We need to learn about constraints. And there is a theory of constraints. And actually, this theory is applied to so many disciplines. And one of these disciplines is project management. So as a project manager, you need to identify the constraints. And it's the critical path. So when you arrange your activities, what's the critical path that include critical steps or steps that takes the longest time, or the steps that the output is input in other steps. So we need to identify these. We also need to identify critical resources. For example, there is a machine that will be available only on these days. So I need to plan the activities so those activities that use this machine will be ready to finish on those days, exact on days. Exploit the system constraints. So you see, how can I deal with this constraint excessively? Subordinate everything else to the constraint. Okay, stop everything. Let's deal with this constraint, finish it, and then elevate the constraint. Okay, it's no longer, and then I will find another constraint. So to identify the constraint, we have to check the critical path of the project, the availability of the resources, dates that are fixed into the schedule and cannot be moved, behaviors, policies, or custom and practice. So we need to study all this so I can identify what's the constraint. For example, if I have an exhibition machine, and this exhibition machine is available only on the 15th. So this means that, okay, this is a resource. It's available only on this time. It's critical. It has a fixed schedule. So I need to deal with it as a constraint. So here is an example. Okay, we have two projects. Initial market study, main market study, generate marketing literature, distribute marketing literature, determine marketing impact. Okay, so these are these are the steps or the activities in project X. Very similar activities in project Y. Both projects use the same resources. And so we have activity carried by team A. Here, I have two teams. So team A will do this initial market study. They will do main market study in project X. And when they finish project X, they can start the project Y because it's one team. The team is not available from week 1 to week 8. The team is not available for project Y. It's already working in project X. When project A finishes its work, Team B can start working. So Team B will be working from week 9 to week 12, and then we'll continue working from week 13 to week 16. Here in Project Y, if I do scheduling without thinking of constraints, I will schedule Team B working here. Now we have resource conflict. In real life, Team B is not available. So I need to construct this schedule again. This is how. So Team B is not available during this time. From week 14 to week 16, Team B is not available. Why? Because they are working on Project X. I can only hire them or assign them to this project starting week 16. This pushes Project Y to week 21. So the traditional way made me plan that Project Y will finish on week 18 like Project X. But in real life, when we took the constraint into consideration, I find that, okay, I can finish Project X in week 18, but with the available teams, I cannot finish week Y, Project Y before week 21. How can I handle this? By rescheduling the same way I did, or I will assign Team C. So if I have other resources available to me, I can hire or assign Team C to the project so I can finish it on time. For example, if I have one exhibition machine and it will not finish the work on time, I can rent another machine. So I have two machines working at the same time. But at least I need to deal with this constraint. Step 2, exploiting the constraint. It means that anything that prevents that part of the system performing to its maximum potential is to be removed. I need to deal with the constraint. Either I hire more people, or I assign more people, or I outsource some of the activities, or I buy more machines, or I extend the time available. Subordinate everything to the constraints. I need to deal with these constraints. So I ignore local efficiencies, and I consider the system as a whole. It's not determined if there are other activities are working okay. If one activity had this constraint, it will affect the whole performance of the project. So I need to think of critical activities versus non-critical activities, and critical resources versus non-critical resources. Then I handle this and I try to elevate the constraint. So I increase the flow through that part of the system. I try to hire more people or assign more people or get another machine or extend the time. I will try to elevate the constraint. Then I go and I find another constraint and deal with it the same way. So actually, this process is continuous throughout the project. Whenever I identify a constraint, I try to handle it, elevate it, or eliminate it, and then go and find another constraint. So let's have an example. It's a simple example. I remember I was teaching this course and I used wedding planning as an example. So this time we will have a much more simpler example, is making a sandwich. Okay, so these are the tasks. I will write it down. I'll buy the bread, buy vegetables, buy cheese, butter, buy chicken. Then I'll go home, I'll cook chicken, I'll chop vegetables, I'll toast bread, spread butter on bread, add vegetables, add chicken, add cheese, combine bread slices, and then we have finished sandwich. These are the steps. Then I will identify all dependencies. See here, immediate predecessors. What comes after this? So I will start. Buy bread, vegetables, cheese, butter, chicken. They are all from the same store. And all these are dependent on me going to the store. So all these B and C and D and E and F are dependent on A. So I highlight here and I write A. These are dependent on A. Then cook chicken. Okay, it's dependent on buying the chicken. So having the chicken. So it's dependent on F. Shop vegetables. Again, it's dependent on C. When I have vegetables, I can shop them. So we can add C. Of course, we can add wash vegetables, dry vegetables, but you understand what I'm saying here. Then toast the bread. It's dependent on buying the bread. So it's dependent on B, and so on. Okay? So here, for example, combine bread slices. This is dependent on so many steps. I need to have J, which is spreading butter on the bread. So it's buttered bread. K, adding vegetables. L, adding chicken. M, adding cheese. Then after I finish J and K and L and M, I can combine bread slices. We can have a simple node diagram here. Because we named our tasks with these letters, I can use these letters. So A, going to the store, I will buy the bread, I will buy the chicken, I will buy the vegetables, then I will E, okay, let's have what's E, buy butter, F, buy chicken, after F comes G, which is cook chicken, and so on. This is one diagram, okay? And then I will go these steps. And then I will write the duration for each task. The one that we wrote here, okay? You can see that these numbers are different than the numbers that we write on these. Let's see here. D, 40 minutes. It shows 40 minutes. Why? Buying cheese is 10 minutes, but we made it comes after buying vegetables and buying bread. See here? It comes after these two. So I will go and buy the bread. It will take me 10 minutes. After that, I will buy chicken, another 10 minutes. So the total is 20 minutes. Then I will buy chicken. It's 20 minutes. So the total will be 40 minutes, and so on. Here, we will calculate the longest path. You will see this part of the activities, it takes the longest. It takes 90 minutes. The other part takes 70 minutes. So In real life, I will not be able to finish making my sandwich until this finishes, so it will take 90 minutes. So the project duration will take the duration of this critical path because it's the longest. If I finish D, I cannot say that I finished the project. This can make me think of floats. Is there any buffer? So I can do B. What was B? Buying bread. Yes. And then I can buy E. What's E? Butter. So instead of going bread, vegetables, cheese, butter, I can buy bread and then I move to butter. Maybe they are next to each other. So it's easier to go from the bread section to the butter section. And then I go and buy the rest of the ingredients. So you can see here, we have alternative node diagram. And again, I can also still do the 90 hours. It should be 90 minutes and 100 minutes, not hours. So I can create another diagram and I can see the best way to arrange the activities. And then I can create my Gantt chart, I can do my scheduling, and I can do everything else. Any questions so far? Any other question?
No.
Okay, so in your assignment, let me share again the assignment. Where is the assignment? Okay, did I close it? Let's see. It was in week 3. So here is your assignment. I believe by this time you already decided on your project and you started working on the assignment. Of course, the date will be changed because we moved everything. So that the actual date will be, let me tell you exactly. Will be 13th of March. So I can edit this one. Okay, I can edit this one later. Oh no, I can edit now. So it will be the 13th of March. So by this time, you can explain the project. You can describe the best way to measure the success of the project. You can write the expected benefits and this benefit. You can do a SWOT analysis. We took this. You can do a weighted scoring model. What else? You can strategic context. Remember, we talked about the project being part of the strategic plan. You can talk about the social responsibility, context, describe, okay, assumptions, requirement, cost, not yet, but here, no, risks, not yet. You can start working on 9, the time scale. So you can have a list of all the activities, have some estimate of the duration. These are all assumptions. And create your node diagram and create your Gantt chart. Okay? So I think this is a part that you can also start working on in your assignment. So we are done now. Any questions so far? Okay, so it's a wrap. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that you take the time to attend the class. And remember, we have in-class discussions, and these discussions are graded, and it's part of your marks. And the university talked to me about your attendance, and we are really, really concerned about your attendance. I know that some of you have some connectivity issues, but at least try harder to attend. So for the last time, do you have any question? Okay. And remember, if you have any question, you can email me and I can reply to you. If I find this is something that everyone needs to know, I will email all of you. And please start working on your assignment. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too,
Thank
all
you.
of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.